yourself. Yeah, we need to know your details. We need to know which county you come from, which constituency you come from, which ward you come from. And the reason why we are taking these details, and people have really asked, is because for so long, the political class have always relied on what we call opinion polls. And Kenyans are always complaining, who are these people who are giving these opinions? Me, I've never been asked these questions by any pollsters.
Neither have I.
I mean, I don't know anybody who's ever been asked. So they just show up with results and then they say, this person is ahead, this person is leading. From where and since when? I didn't give this opinion. So now, for us to be able to know where this opinion is coming from, this is coming from real people. This is Gadoni, who's coming from this county, this ward, this constituency. And then you have to put in your ID number there. Simply because after you've registered, we are going to have to go through a voter verification process. It's honestly, what we've designed is basically IEBC on steroids. It's just that we do not have the mandate to run elections. So now, all these details will be able to ensure that we don't have, you cannot vote more than once. We ensure that there are no bots that are voting, to ensure that it is as credible as it can be. So that's the process. You go there, you register yourself, and then now after you've registered yourself, then you enter the booth. There is a digital booth. So on the 25th, which is tomorrow, 6 in the morning. Right now, if you enter the booth, you will see there is a timer. It's telling you how many hours left before now it goes. So when you go to the booth, 6 in the morning, all the names of the candidates will load up, and then now it's up to you to select. You're selecting your flag bearer, you select your running mate, and then you submit these votes. Now the results are instant. It's like a calculator. 1 plus 1, the calculator will not tell you I'm tallying. It will not tell you give me some time. It will give you the answer.
Are the running mates still part of the one of the 16? Or
yes.
This is
you see how the system is designed. The 16 candidates are the options for the flag bearer. The same 16 candidates are still the options for the running. Because Kenyans sometimes might prefer. Let me use an example of a candidate. Let's say Sifuna, for example. Someone can say, okay, fine, I prefer Sifuna more of a running mate rather than a flag bearer. You see, so he might choose somebody else, let's say maybe Wajakoya, and then he says, I want Sifuna to deputize him. Another Kenyan will be like, no, I feel like Sifuna should be president, and then Wajakoya should be deputy. So you should have the both names there so that they can be able to choose for themselves. It's not biased. The system will not allow you, obviously, for someone to deputize himself. If you choose Wajakoya president or Wajakoya deputy, it will tell you, no, that's not possible. He cannot try again.
You mentioned verification, so you have a database, so you'll be verifying.
No, you see now, the people who voluntarily give us this detail, we are not, we don't. It would be against the law to take the database without their consent and slip it in our system. So we want people to voluntarily opt themselves in. So that we now create this database.
Masinde, what this then brings forth, especially in an electioneering period, is an election that is owned by the people.
Yes.
Is an election that is people-centric. It is not an election that is determined in a boardroom and that the people only come in at the last point where they have no say on who should sit there, where they have no say on the qualification or some of the gatekeeping that needs to be done to ensure that people who end up in elective positions are people who will deliver to Kenyans.
Yet,
we look at the Constitution of Kenya, and public participation is so central because people must be included in these processes, whether it is IEBC and how it's clearing, whether it is ORPP giving decisions as to why it cleared Masinde to run. All these informations need to be given to Kenyans, yet we are not seeing that. So with the system that you have created, what is the end goal? Where do we take that information? Who do we share it with? And how do we make so much noise for it to make sense to IEBC, who have the constitutional powers to hold the election?
You see, the IEBC and institutions that are well anchored in the Constitution are supposed to cater for all Kenyans. And you know, as Kenyans, we come from different backgrounds. I mean, people think differently, and it's supposed to accommodate every view of every Kenyan. So it's going to, you know, and they say the best would be to make sure the weakest link is taken care of, and then the rest will actually be taken care of. So the standards can somewhat end up being compromised in our institutional in the institutional organs, simply because they have to accommodate even the weakest of our people. But then again, it is up to us as Kenyans to set these standards very high, so that once we have taken them through this funnel, we are more likely to end up with people who are actually going to be great leaders once they get to IEBC. Let us sieve them first, so that by the time they are getting to be cleared by what I would call a more tolerable or how can I call it, like a weak system, then let the weak system allow the strongest person in, as opposed to the weak system allowing the weak person in.
So just coming off the World Cup spirit, so you're setting up a friendly match for the people to show up and decide in sort of a preliminary kind of engagement with these aspirants and see whom would you prefer to have as the flag bearer against this regime where everybody is saying must go.
Yes.
Now, sometimes I wonder on a different dimension that we think the voter is so inadequate and so incapacitated that they cannot make that decision independently. That the voter has not suffered enough, because the people who are saying must go, one term, Zakayo Ashuke, Tawe, all these many movements we've had, which are about 9, is the voter. The assumption is that people have suffered enough to make a sound decision this time around. Are you convinced?
They've suffered enough to make
a sound decision this time around without depending on this so-called, it keeps changing formation. It was United Opposition, it was the alternative government, it was the coalition of the deputies, without depending on any political legacy politician to sit around in a boardroom and say, this is the person we want. Can the people, out of their own volition, out of the pain points that we are going through today as Kenyans, just snap to the reality that the vote you hold as an individual is what collectively, with mine and Dennis and everybody else, will determine the next 5 years of our lives?
The people already demonstrated that in 2024.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
Before 2024, majority of Kenyans didn't even know what finance bill was. All right? And they didn't even use the vote. Yeah? They just went to the streets.
Yes.
Yep.
And at first, I'm sure the establishment believed that nothing would come out of this. They believe that the Mwananchi are so incapacitated to be able to make a decision as powerful as this. And look at what they achieved. The finance bill had to be sent back.
Yep.
You see? So it started in 2024. And it's not even the older folk who did it.
Right.
It's our young guys who went and did that. So we are in a totally different political era. The era of Sijui, all these things that you've mentioned, Ilisha 2024. Now it is totally different. The people are going to decide. You call it friendly match. It is not that friendly. Because in battle they also say friendly fire also kills.
Yeah, true.
Okay? So it's not so friendly, because whatever the people will decide will be. Yeah? I know we've faced some very huge resistance from the legacy politicians, simply because, it's understandable. Yeah, change is very difficult to accommodate as it comes. Yeah, so it is understandable, because they are hell bent on still locking themselves in a pantry. Yeah, to decide on who is going to be the president for us. I don't know why they've not learned from 2024, but that is not what's going to happen. And if you force it, you run the risk of your candidate being rejected by the people. Now, this is the question I asked them. If you trust the very people to make that decision on the voting day in 2027, why don't you trust the same people to advise you on this is actually the way you should go? Because you'll depend on them, on their vote in the election day. So it behooves them to